Today, we have Amrita on THINKSPACE, the creator of Groundwork, a practical system that helps people escape survival mode while addressing the deeper patterns that drive stress and overwhelm. Amrita's journey began 13 years ago in a startup in Silicon Valley and has since introduced ease and flow into startups, enterprises, and mission-driven organizations across industries. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you, Summan.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to have you here, genuinely.
I'm so honored. Really, I am.
We were talking on the phone.
Yeah.
And we were talking about personal leadership.
Yeah.
So I feel like something you actually do in all of your conversations, even just the one that you were telling me, the job you just had, is you're helping people tap into their personal leadership. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I would say that that's true for sure. I mean, I guess what's in the way of anyone's personal leadership is their capacity to be clear in themselves and not be driven from fear and pain, which I talk a lot about in my work, which I'm sure we'll get into. So if that's what makes for personal leadership, then yeah, I would say that that's definitely part of the work.
Okay, so let's identify a survival pattern for anyone who's listening.
Yeah. So a survival pattern is basically like the behaviors, the thoughts, the emotions, the feelings, and also the connection we have with ourselves and the meaning of our lives that gets kind of eradicated or eroded when we're caught by the grips of fear or basically personal pain of some kind. So I talk a lot about how survival mode is really driven by an underlying kind of pain that gets triggered over and over again in a lifetime. And a survival pattern is basically all the ways that we have built up, a mechanism that we have built up to avoid feeling that pain, that kind of core underlying pain.
Okay, and then you work with people who are high achievers.
Yes.
So how does this then show up in those people's lives?
It's amazing what we see. I mean, in productivity, which is the kind of, I say I'm teaching spirituality under the guise of productivity, but it really is about how do we get things done in the world? How do we perform? How do we fulfill in the visions and the missions that we have for our lives? So I do tend to attract people who are very high performing because they have a lot at stake usually in terms of their own personal mission. I would say that the degrees in productivity that we see on the one extreme are push harder to get things done, push. And that was definitely me, big fight response. And then on the flip side of that, because you usually can't sustain that for too long, people usually tend to numb out and to kind of collapse into themselves. And that's where we see the doom scrolling or whatever, the Netflix scrolling or those kinds of tendencies to kind of avoid and shut down so that you can get respite from the having to push so hard. And so high performers are really good at basically thrashing between those two extremes.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. And very difficult to find relief from that when you're kind of caught in the grips of that. And it's no one's fault because obviously the society is great at pulling for those behaviors and perpetuating them and,
asking a lot from us.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you're talking something before I knew who you were, Taryn and I were talking and she was like, now I notice my survival pattern before I even get into it. And that she's been able to work with it so much that she's like, I don't even go into that anymore.
Yes.
Which I think is so cool, right? Because as a high performer, it's you don't want to stop being a high performer, but at one point, that pushing doesn't actually push anything.
Yeah, exactly.
You kind of get to a point where you're yo, I'm hitting a wall.
Yes.
I have to change my approach or the underlying shit that's not allowing me to elevate.
Yes, exactly. And that's why I always talk about in order to actually have a mastery over your performance, to me, you have to find a new baseline of peace. So my, the thesis that I work with is that peace and performance are not mutually exclusive. And what I'm doing with the work is I'm pairing mindfulness with productivity. So that's what kind of makes it very different in the industry that I'm in. But that's exactly right. It's exactly like you described with Taryn, who's, by the way, an amazing woman and how we met. And just acknowledge her on the podcast, the CEO of Bloom, which is the skincare line that we both love and use and adore. And
so literally right beside me right now.
Yeah, you've got the lip balm by your side for this podcast. Yeah. So with someone like her and with many of the people who find me is that they've gotten to a certain level of performance. They know how to get things done. They know how to push. But at some point, they recognize that the pushing is no longer serving them, and it's also not going to allow them to go to the next level in their, in their ambitions and in their careers, and also in their personal lives. Like really recognizing that, like, I can't keep going like this because I don't want to live my life this way.
Yeah. There's like a season in entrepreneurship where it's funny. I feel like this is the theme of the podcast lately is like blind ambition. There's a season of blind ambition and you're just like running and you're chasing and you're doing and you're pushing. And then you kind of wake up.
Yeah.
And you wake up a little like sore and like tired and you're like, that workout kind of hurt. You know what I mean? And it's not that you don't want to stop doing it, but you're like, I can't do it this way anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, in my dream world, we'd all get ahead of that and really stop this mentality around this kind of survival mode, right? Which I, again, talk a lot about, like this capitalistic, extractive, without any care for our mental faculties kind of behavior and way of operating in the world, right? And really starting to put an end to the belief that if I just do one more thing, if I just get through one more email, one more project, one more task, if I just find that thing that's going to give me that satisfaction, then I'll be okay. And so what I'm doing is I'm really flipping it on its head and going, we have to work with the underlying psychology to be established internally as you're performing. And then, of course, once you're established internally, then you can start looking at where the systems are breaking down. And we have to, a big part of my work is implementing a system called the Groundwork system for streamlining life and really bringing a level of minimalism to how we organize our consciousness, how we organize our lives and our work so that you don't you don't fall back into that survival state over and over again. So it's a systems question and a systems problem, obviously, but it's also a behavioral psychological issue. And then on top of that, it's a deeply systemic issue because it's everywhere we look. We are being told that we're not enough. It's not enough. We need to produce more, faster, harder. Especially now with the onset of so we can sell. It's on the onset of AI too now. It's like whatever, it's going to be next level. So we have to protect our peace. If we do not have the tools to protect our peace, we will drown. And that's why we're seeing the mental health issues we're seeing. That's why teen suicide is higher than it's ever been. Like we are not doing well with this way of getting things done.
Yeah. And as you're saying that, you're like, your dream is like maybe this isn't something that we have to then go and do as a solution. Yeah. And it's more proactive. But like, I'm very curious to know your thoughts around like, well, wouldn't everyone have a survival pattern because everyone is kind of growing? Okay, so we had somebody on the pod, we had Andrew on the pod, and he was talking about how, when you're a kid, you think your parents did everything wrong, and then you become a dad, and he's like, like maybe my parents did some things right. Like, you know what I mean? I guess they could babysit. And it's like, it's one of those things that like, no matter how quote unquote good you are, like whatever you impact is going to have impact and you don't know how it's going to impact them.
100%. Yeah. I think I just told you I just came out of doing a pro bono training for a men's recovery addiction group in our community, in the Punjabi Sikh community. And one of the most important things to me to make sure is established in anything I teach or anytime that I go into a training space is like, no one escapes survival mode. Like no one escapes a survival pattern. We all have one. Like we're all shaped by how we survive. And the experience of being with pain as part of the human experience is an inevitable experience. And yet we don't know how to talk about it. We don't know how to cope with it. We don't know how to have resilience with it. We're so afraid of it that we run from it, avoid it, shut down to it. We act badly from it. And so it's very important that people understand like this is not like it's just an inevitable part of like the human psychology. And so the only real choice we have is how equipped we are around how we survive the world. Yeah, because the original formation of the survival pattern when I teach it is always usually formed in the early stages of trying to get the need for love met from the external world. And when we can't get that need met, it's too painful to feel that. So rather than allowing the experience of pain to move through our system, it gets caught as a pain blockage. Yeah. This is what in Buddhism they talk about as samskaras. These are energetic or physiological blockages of pain that get formed and then get re-triggered over and over again in a lifetime. Yeah. No one escapes that formation.
No. And it's almost like, I almost think it's like you have to go through it.
Exactly.
Yeah, like just like the kid has to fall in order to stand up.
Right.
Yeah, you have to go through that pain. And it's almost like, how healthy are the people around you to be able to have those conversations with you to then give you that sense of esteem?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I watch my best friend's sisters parent their kids.
Yeah.
And I just think, wow.
Yeah,
like,
I know, right?
oh
We're
my
doing it so differently
oh
now.
my God.
I know.
Like even
talking about the feelings.
talking about the feelings, also just letting them have them. Like
Yes.
one of my other best friends, she has a son and he's just got big energy and big emotions.
Yeah.
And I just love witnessing how she parents him, because I'm like, I think I needed that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was the kid who had big emotions. I was like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I was that person. I didn't know, like, okay, like something's stuck here, until like, actually we went on our journey of our documentary, where it's like, at that point I had such an understanding of the mental experience of well-being.
Right.
But the physical, sensational experience
Yes.
of well-being, I was like, oh, like I'm actually not allowing myself to truly feel joy or sadness.
Yes.
Right?
Totally.
And then I'm so curious, like, because you've worked with people in such interesting periods of their time where it's like, you know, they come out of the survival pattern, they start being more productive in a way that serves them.
Yeah.
And then do you also notice like they are able to access more joy?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that, you know, the degree to which you can experience and witness and be present with your own pain is the same degree to which you can actually have the fullness of joy and aliveness present in your life, you know, that vibrancy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that is about that. I mean, I think it's like, you know, the capacity to like, you know, experience the fullness of anything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You can experience the fullness of anything. But yeah, I've seen huge unlocks in people's capacity for joy, and one of the biggest ones that excites me the most is presence. Like people are able to go be present with their children again, like not trying to like fight themselves. They're just like you know, they're able to surrender to the moment and be present with the people around them, and that is like so needed right now.
Eyes.
They're there in the eyes.
Yes,
Yeah, exactly.
yes.
Yeah.
So we were chatting on the phone, and to be able to hold a space like this,
Yeah.
I'm so curious of the self-leadership it takes from you. Like, how do you hold the pose? Like, how do you hold the room?
Oh, that's such a good question. I'll share something very like explicit about like what it's like to lead these kinds of so I do the retreat circuit once a year, right? I teach at different retreat centers throughout North America, and all kinds of people come to these things. And it's really interesting because at first I think people don't quite know what to do with me. Like there's almost like a suspicion.
Yeah.
Over like, what does this chick know about, you know, what I'm dealing with, or, you know, even what's going on in the world or whatever. And very quickly I disarm them. Like, you know, I tell my story about how I was, you know, raised skirting the poverty line, how, you know, even 2 years ago, despite my 15 years of work and teaching this modality, I had to go to deeper levels when I went through severe opioid withdrawal through surgery, and had to deal with new levels of pain, and how my community reacted to my, you know, my distress, and how my family around me and people unexpectedly, you know, left, and all these very wild,
stuff.
complex, hard life stuff that I had to go through all over again. And so I think very quickly I can disarm people through my life experience, and them really understanding that what I've built is entirely through life experience, actually. Like I'm not an academic. I never have been. And so my journey has been about like learning on the ground. So I think that helps. But I will say that people will be suspicious at first. Then they'll kind of fall in love with me.
Yeah.
But then they'll put me up on a pedestal.
Interesting.
And then they'll try to knock me down from the pedestal. And so I'm like having to manage all these dynamics.
Like a celebrity.
Yeah, it's a really weird experience. It's like not at all what I thought I would deal with as a coach, right?
Yeah.
But teaching the modality that I do, and it being, I think, so transformative for people in the way that it is. So part of my job as a coach is to just continually presence my humanity in the room and in the conversation. And, you know, just, I think I'm lucky that I have a very natural curiosity about people's lives and their stories, and in particular, their pain that they deal with. And that's really helped me, like, prioritize the deep listening, like, of what someone's dealing with over my own experience of what I'm hearing, or, you know, my own kind of filters. And I think that's always been a really important part of being like a good facilitator, a good
truly
leader.
there with
them.
them.
You're present to what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And I mean, Gabor Mate says this, and, Marshall Rosenberg also said this very well, which is like, so much real healing can be done when you're fully heard by someone and fully seen by someone. And I so treasure that. Like, I just think, like, with all the things I'm teaching, all the tools about, like, yes, your survival pattern, your pain, here's how to organize your calendar, here's how to streamline your inbox, here's how to deal with everything you have coming at you, here's how to write a difficult email. But I think the most important thing I always come back to, and that I know I can always do, is just actually be totally present with another human being and their experience and bear witness to what they're dealing with. And so I think I'm lucky in that, like, I think people have a love and respect for my capacity to do that. Yeah. Because it is genuine.
It is genuine. And it's also without judgment.
It's totally without judgment.
Yeah. Because even like in my coaching containers, I've really learned that you are a blank slate for them.
Yes. You're the mirror.
You're the mirror. Yeah. And you are just, you're creating a place for them to understand themselves deeper.
Yeah.
Right. And it's crazy. Like, it's such a blessing and a privilege to be in a space with people like that.
Yeah, it really is.
The pedestal, though, I want to go back there because there was a season I remember back in the day. Like, I've always loved psych. I've always loved just wisdom, I guess. And that was...
I can see that about you, by the way.
Yeah.
That's very clear. Yeah.
I know. And I before, though, when I would share the wisdom, I think it came from this, like, I grew up where it was like an age of like dictatorship and this and that, top down. And like, so I think before it was like, oh, I am the guru.
Right.
And then it became, I am the guide.
Yeah.
And it was the like taking out the ego, or like I don't know what that was, but it was like an opportunity to be like, hey, like, we're all on the same playing field. And how do we all live and exist and learn from each other?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So much learning occurs. I can't even tell you how much I learned by hearing from these men this last weekend who were incarcerated for 12 years and in gangs, and like the level of pain that they had dealt with and how they'd spent their entire lives avoiding this pain. And that was what drove them to addiction. And like, it's just like, people's stories are so interesting to me and so rich. And it's like, oh God, this is the stuff that life is made of. Like, if it were up to me, I would just be like constantly hosting dinners, just listening to people's stories. Yeah, just tell me everything about you, right? And and I think I was going to go back to one thing that we just talked about, which is, the mirror, being the mirror as a coach and being that clean slate where someone can really see themselves. I think one of the modalities I absolutely cherish and love so much is the IFS modality, internal family systems modality, because that framework is very clear that you have to actually bring your own humanity to it. You can't erase yourself from the equation. But the question is, can you bring a level of your own, like, can you work with your own internal healing as you're working with another person's internal healing at the same time? And that they actually have to both be present. And I think that's the real skill of a really masterful coach, is that they're not attempting to not be there. They're not attempting to kind of like, erase themselves from the equation in some way, but actually they're bringing their humanity to it. They're bringing their own pain to it. And then from that place, because they're not resisting their own experience, they can actually be even more present.
They're the conduit in some ways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then the healing is occurring at the level of the humanity between both people, right?
Even it's so fascinating because I'm so curious. There's so many, God will bring you whatever you need, right? So there's so many conversations that I have with people where I'm like, I got to coach you on this, right? Yeah. It's like there are these periods where you're like, oh, like I've really coached myself on this, and it's like, how do you find yourself navigating those spaces when your clients are bringing things to the plate, right? That you also have had to deeply process through, or maybe you're still processing through.
Yeah, 100%. That's such a good question. Yeah, I mean, again, I never pretend to have like any like knowledge per se, right? Like, I'm not working with like tips and tactics, which I find is really helpful for the work that I do. And I think part of the reason it's so effective and that people talk about my work is because I'm working from a set of principles. And so I feel very strongly about the principles I'm working with. And so, like, for example, right now I'm working with a woman I've been working with for a long time who's a business owner. And she has been on very severe medication for 15 years, very strong medication for 15 years for a particular physical ailment that has been detrimental to her health. And she now is recognized, the doctors have recognized that the actual medication she's been on has actually made her symptoms worse. And so she's now preparing to go through withdrawal of this medication. And it's basically the equivalent of going through opioid withdrawal. So this stuff's been in her body for 15 years. And so I'm now coaching her to prepare herself psychologically, mentally, emotionally for this experience.
That's so crazy.
It's crazy that I just went through that. It's like,
yeah,
wild, right?
Yeah.
And of course we attract based on like, you know, whatever.
But how could you not, right? And it's just,
Exactly.
I think it's so cool. Like, I think that's so cool. How would you have known that you going through this and you
I know.
like holding the light, that was hard.
That was insanely hard.
Right? And that's crazy because that's actually the season that I met you in.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. I met you like
and
almost
I've seen
right
your
after
light
it.
come back on.
Yeah.
Which is just so cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I so appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I think that is amazing to be able to then be a support for somebody in that way where like, I think people love to feel understood.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
we
that
need
one
it.
for oneness is just like
we need it. Yeah, we need it.
Yeah. So
but I think it's still, even there, it's still an inquiry with her. Like, it's an inquiry. Like, I'm not pretending to have any answers at all, but somehow I'm able to go deeper in the experience with her because I've had the actual experience of that. So even though I have the principles, now I have this very real, very particular life experience that's kind of been brought together with these principles. And so now it's like the melding of it definitely has a certain level of mastery, I think, that it would have not had previously when it comes to that particular thing. It's also why I worked with this men's group this last weekend, because I feel very strongly about like the opioid crisis in particular and addiction recovery and stuff like that. Like, we're just not doing it very well. So
we aren't.
No, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible out there. Yeah.
How do you, like, what do you wish was done
in that experience for me?
For you, yeah.
Well, okay, so the most interesting thing about this whole thing that I realized, and I already knew this, but man, did I not, I don't think I knew how deeply true this is. We do not know how to be with people in pain. Our society does not know how to do it. I mean, we can look at multiple factors for that. I mean, immediate gratification relationship, people not building strong enough community and relationships. Like, I think at one point I had to realize that there were very few people I could put my life in their hands and know that I would be okay.
Yeah.
One of my besties, Mo, who you know, Mo Dhaliwal, it was like as if he like reached his hand out into a dark, like fucking well of a cave. Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yes.
And it pulled me out.
Yeah.
And who's willing to do that in our society? I mean, first of all, you have to not be in survival mode yourself.
Yeah. You have to have capacity.
You have to have capacity. You have to have also enough understanding that the person that is not there that you knew is still in there somewhere. You have to also, I think, have had enough of your own experience of pain to actually be able to recognize it in someone else and not shy away from it, not be afraid of it, not avoid it, all those things. So I noticed that the people who were the most able to help me through that were the people who had suffered the most around me in their own lives. So that's an interesting whole rabbit hole there. But
no. You know, it's so funny. Like, today I was driving and I was thinking about therapists, and I was like, I was thinking about my therapist, and I was like, she's a pretty jolly lady. I haven't seen her for a long time. I was like, I don't know if I want to go back to her. And then I was just thinking about, I wonder what got her into this, because I don't think people just choose to be a therapist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have alchemized something in your life.
Yeah.
That has now made you want to pursue healing others.
Yeah.
And you're not healing them. You are helping and facilitating their healing.
Yeah.
But like for Mo to do that.
Yes.
That is like the word that just keeps faith and grace.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
a lot of faith and a lot of grace, because you aren't you in that moment.
Yeah.
Right? And
yeah,
even like the intimacy, like I'd love to hear your thoughts on like intimate relationships, because I think that we have a lot of relationships, but I don't know how much we actually truly allow ourselves to be seen. Like yesterday I was texting my friend and I was like, sometimes I just miss, and this is not about alcohol, but this is about a freedom. Sometimes I miss being young and just getting fully fucked up and like not caring. There was no phones. There was like, there was no like, but I also, but what I realized as we were talking about it, what I really loved about that season was I fully trusted the people I was with. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Where they would never hurt me. They would never leave me. They would never be mad at me. Like I could just be myself, all edges of me, all prickly ends. And like I was loved.
There was like an innocent loyalty at that stage of life, right? Like it was real innocence to the loyalty.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're my best friend. And like, I know exactly what you mean. And when I think back, there's almost none of those people back in they don't exist in my life anymore.
Right?
Not by any like, just whatever.
Just life.
Cities moved, had families, whatever. But to cultivate those kind of lifelong relationships and to have them really mean something when one person in that equation is not doing well. And of course, one of the things I've learned with my therapist recently was groundbreaking information for me.
Tell me everything.
Oh my God, you're going to love this. She said there's a difference between a friend and an ally.
Tell me more.
She said not all friends are allies.
Yes.
And sometimes even some allies can't be an ally. Like we all have our limits to allyship.
Can you define ally?
Ally is like they're your army is how she described it. Like you're the general, they're your army, and they're going to go to bat for you. They're going to go to war for you. Not all friends are your allies, which I don't know, for some reason that equation never landed for me. I'm like, everybody's my ally. All my friends are my closest friends. Of course they're all going to be there for me. And I was like, not that at all. Not even close when I went through the opioid withdrawal.
Yeah.
And the surgery and being left by the partner and losing my community and losing my home and all the stuff, right? Not being able to work. And it was crazy. Who showed up, who didn't show up was very fascinating, like really, really interesting. And I lost some lifelong friends to that whole thing as well, which I still don't fully have understanding over, but I have peace over. But I think the recognizing that some of those who I thought even were at the time were allies had to choose not to be an ally for whatever reason, their own life circumstances. And so understanding that like the nature of allyship and friendship is constantly changing and that's okay, that's like a part of life.
Because their lives are changing and your life is changing. And it's like, okay, does a part of us match or do we not at this time?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the values change and the priorities change. And somehow that was a really hard pill for me to swallow. Like, especially like my attachment to people was like, I think more innocent, and I think it's now matured. Even in this last, at 40, it matured for some reason. Because I'm kind of one of those like I just give, right, and I connect with a lot of people.
You're a lover.
I'm a lover. I'm a total friggin' lover, total lover. And so now I've had to learn like discernment around who I invest in and how much love I give to certain relationships and things like that. And so that allyship and the friendship, and it's like. And she even said to me, she's like, some people get to just be friends and that's good too. Like, that's okay too.
Yeah.
They don't have to be your ally. They don't have to go to war for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so I can have friends who are not willing to go to war for me. Okay. They can decline going to war.
And then it's like asking yourself, is that good enough in this relationship?
That's correct.
Because I think that sometimes we have expectations.
Yes.
Like we have the expectation and we want to be the ally, but maybe they can't be the ally.
Exactly.
But then also it's like, am I willing to just play in the sandbox with them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But somehow when you know this person's not going to be likely to be an ally in my life, then you know what level of investment to make.
I hate to be that.
It sounds transactional to do that. That's why I struggle with it so much, because I'm so relational.
Yeah.
So I struggle with the like discernment around that, but there's a definite level of wisdom, and I think it's even impacting like my capacity as a business leader now, right? It's like, I was just saying to you before we got on camera, like I could be working on 1,000 pro bono projects. I'm actually going to DC to pitch to a bunch of philanthropists for like work in our community, because I'm doing so much pro bono work that I actually like realize it's not sustainable and I need someone to like fund me. But it's like, it's endless, right? Like where I could see helping people, and especially the modality's been so effective. So it's like, people who give me the feedback around it, like it just gives me so much energy to just keep going. To keep it going. And so I have to even there be discerning around like, okay, is this like a return on an investment? Like I have to actually like think in a more like transactional way about who I help and who I don't help.
Yeah, no.
At this stage, at least.
At this stage. And then things change, right? And then capacities like expand and grow, and you never know what will happen later on in life. But like bringing it back to the friendship stuff, I think that, I think because I'm thinking of a specific friendship right now, right?
Yeah.
And I had this thought with myself, right? And I'm like, okay, this person is actually not my ally.
Right.
Like, for example, I put myself out there a lot.
Yes.
And just because
You're very open too, right?
And I'm open to doing it. But just because I'm open to doing it, I still need my cheerleaders.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
you need your backup crew.
You need your backup crew. You need them to like be like, yo, that's
you need
sick,
your hype
whatever.
people.
Your hype people.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I realized like, oh, in this relationship, there's not that allyship. And then it kind of made me go down this like rabbit hole of, okay, what is this friendship?
Yeah.
And if it's at this scale, that's fine. I love this person.
Yeah.
But am I willing to invest more into this, knowing what it can and cannot be?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And that, again, that's the discernment wisdom piece, right? Like that's like where we have to grow up a little bit and be like, okay, why not to be? But it's an interesting question because you also don't want to give up like that openness. You don't want to give up the generosity. You don't want to give up the relational aspect. You don't want to give up the love. Like all that stuff still has to be present for you because that's a matter of your value. Like that's your integrity, right?
Yeah.
So how do you negotiate that? And especially now with like, I think one of the truest tests of an ally is a test of time.
Yeah.
Like sometimes there's no way to know until you've actually like had enough time with the person and then you've hit a difficulty or a challenge where you're faced with a decision around like, how am I going to show up for this person or how are they going to show up for me?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's no way around it. Like I had 15 years with my best friend before she made a decision not to be an ally anymore. We had built a business together. I mean, we were like super intertwined. And then all of a sudden she chose no allyship, no friendship. And so sometimes you just don't know. Like it's like, we've been allies so far, and at this stage of life, we're no longer allies. And there's like...
Does that get easier?
I mean, I think it's easier now for me, like a year in. There's a definite deeper acceptance for it. I think I worry about it in terms of the longevity of like other friendships and relationships. Like part of me feels like almost like that wound is maybe never fully going to heal and go away. Because I think a part of me will always be like, well, is anything forever?
Well, okay, so I think as young women, we are sold friends forever. We're sold forever.
Yeah, we're sold forever.
We're sold forever.
Fucking and Disney, eh?
Yeah.
God damn.
But I know what you're feeling. Yeah. Like I had a friend who I talked to her every single day since I was 14, and then something happened and we weren't able to move through it. And then 6 months passed, and I'm like, I can't just be in this zone. I have to let this go because it just makes me feel like unloved.
Yeah.
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 But I still to this day think about her and I still love her and I want the best for her.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that it's like you start to question yourself of like, am I okay? Am I good enough? Am I a good person? Am I a good friend? If I can't keep a forever friend.
Yes.
But that's not the truth. It's just life.
It is just life. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And I mean so going back to like that core pain that we all deal with, right? That's underneath how we survive the world. Like so much of what that is constantly trying to answer is, am I okay? At some fundamental level, right? So that's why I feel like it's so important to be in the practice of sitting with your pain and acknowledging your pain and seeing where the pain is driving and running you, especially in those moments of those challenging relational things where working with the pain is essential. Like I really had to work with, in this particular friendship I was just describing, like similar to yours, I had to really work with like, okay, like there's nothing wrong with me. Like it's okay. Like this is a natural part of like life and relationships coming and going and whatever that is, like the negotiation of life. But I didn't want to, it was very difficult. Like I had to rebuild my resilience around like not derailing myself against this like something's wrong constantly inside and sitting with that pain over and over again until I felt free from it and felt peace between me and the other person to the best I could get it without having a conversation.
Would you say that that's what the pain is almost looking for, is a sense of peace? Okayness, exactly. Because it's so interesting because the way that you describe it is very similar to I had a very big codependency wound and a very anxious attachment style.
Yeah.
And I've been able to work on it a lot with the people in my life.
Oh, good.
And I've had this one friend, and he's very, in this relationship, he's so secure.
Wow.
And he's taught me how to be more secure because I don't have to fear that we're going to beef and then we're not going to be good.
Good.
Or I'm
blessing.
so moody. right? And I know that's my thing. I'm a moody girl. And it's like, but then it's like, it doesn't question, I never question the love.
That is so incredible. That level of security and being able to have an example of that in your life where you can like, go, okay, that's what it feels like. Like, that's like actually like what that experience is like to lean back and to be secure between two people. So you can like mimic that over and over again.
In other relationships.
Yeah. But having an example of that, I think is key. And I think if we had more of that, that would really help a lot of people. It's just like, yeah. And so developing yourself to become one of those people for the people around you, obviously is a great service to do for the people that you love.
That's actually exactly what I wanted to ask you. So then like how you talk about Mo, right? And him having the capacity and the ability. What does it mean to be somebody who has capacity, who has ability, who has worked with their survival patterns? How do you show up in the world differently?
Oh, man. How do you show up in the world differently? I think it is that sense of like moving through the world with, again, you're not trying to like, you don't need anything from anyone per se. Like you're not trying to like, not even extract, but it's like you somehow recognize that the external circumstance or the people around you are not what's going to fill the thing that you feel bad about inside. Like you can't get it from the external world. Obviously, I am like a strong believer that we like are meant to co-regulate. Like we are not meant to live in silos. Like we are absolutely 1,000% relational beings, and we need each other. And we should not be under this like thinking of like, I need to just be okay in myself independently, permanently, forever. Like that is not a state we should strive for at all. And having said that, when you have two people relating who are aware of how they survive the world, they're aware of their own survival patterns, they know how to sit with their pain and what's driving them, and it's the capacity to ask like, where is this action, or where are these words coming from inside of me? Is this pain based? Is this fear based? Or is this love based or life serving based, clarity based?
It's that personal inquiry.
Yeah, it's a capacity for self reflection, right?
Yeah.
And many of us don't have that. The people who are closest to me in my life, I would say, are people like who have that, right? Which is why I love hanging out with you and gelling with you, is because we both, when we talk, we self-reflect together.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I absolutely love hanging out.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, what else could you want from life? There's the capacity to self-reflect with others and to take responsibility for your experience, and then to negotiate that when things don't go well between you and another person. Not that it's easy. It's extremely difficult. God bless the people who are willing to do it.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it takes so much, I feel like acknowledgement.
So much.
So much acknowledgement of like, I wasn't my best in that moment. Or no, like I was clear. And just like sitting in that and allowing that to be and have isness with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's that like very deep humility, very deep clarity. It's, for me, it's like a very deep integrity. I view it as a kind of integrity with self.
You've worked with so many incredible humans. Like, on that note, like in leadership, what are qualities that you've noticed in some of the best of them?
Honestly, like the capacity to be present with the people around them. Like I can't say enough about that. Like, and of course, staying focused as a high-performing person and being clear on your priorities and your schedule is like absolutely key to be able to get things done. But what I've noticed about the best leaders is they're not afraid of dealing with things that are arising with the key people around them. Like they don't resist it. There's no aversion to it. Like they're able to like actually create the capacity to slow it just down enough to solve for that and unblock in that particular way, unblock the people around them in that particular way. And those are the leaders I admire the most. Harvard Business Review, I think it was a couple of years ago now, I found this article where there's more studies about this now, where they have shown that leaders who are able to actually sit with their own pain and fear make for the best leaders. Like, no shit,
Duh.
Sherlock. Yeah, duh.
Yeah.
But I just love that we're talking about it now in like a more like scientific, acceptable
Yes.
Harvard Science Review way.
Yeah.
Makes me very happy because I can prove that what I'm doing is important. But I see that like the leaders who are self-aware, can self-reflect, can go, fuck, I totally just had that meeting and I was totally in fear and I was dominating or I was numbed out or I was frozen or whatever it is. And then can like self-correct.
I want to pause there.
Yeah.
And the reason I want to pause there is because I think that when people are younger in their journey, not younger as people, but just younger in their journey, their self-responsibility journey, there's this idea where it's like, okay, let's use survival pattern as an example. I'm going to figure out my survival pattern. I'm going to get out of my survival pattern. I am never going to go into my survival pattern ever again.
Right. Yeah.
And what you just described is like, hey, this leader has the ability to then go into a pattern and then come out of the pattern and witness themselves. And then they kind of coach themselves through it.
Yeah.
So what would you say to the person who is just starting to be on their self-awareness journey, or maybe they've been on it for a while, but their muscles in it are not that strong yet?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things we should maybe say with that too is because I think there's like a misconception in the like self-development world or like the personal development world that you're like supposed to share about everything all the time. So there's a major difference between like honesty and disclosure.
Yes.
You know, being a leader doesn't mean you're like talking about your patterns and publicly announcing to your team that you were in fear in that meeting and you should have done better and blah, blah, blah. Again, there's appropriate times for that. Absolutely. And being vulnerable as a leader is important. And also, I think just setting the leader free of like all the pressure that they're supposed to perform and be self-aware and, you know, do great at this
These
and
miraculous
meet their KPIs and be like these super spiritual, like, you know, self-fulfilled, you know, self-realized people at the same time. It's like, okay, chill out. Because that actually is part, unfortunately, of the same exact pattern that keeps them trapped in survival, which is this like need to push and push. So having like that, again, that grace with yourself is absolutely important. But I think also these things can be acknowledged like way quicker with way more grace and directness than we like afford ourselves. So the iteration for me is like the most important. It's like, don't be afraid to iterate on like what you're learning about yourself and don't be afraid to like iterate quickly.
Like, tell me more about that.
Well, so first of all, so many of the leaders that I work with, tend to have ADHD.
Yeah. Why is that?
High performers tend to have that in common.
Okay.
Yeah. ADHD, like the brain works quickly. They're like very fast at everything. So slowing it down enough to catch themselves is part of the practice. Like being able to like, just whoa, wait a second, catch the thing. But then because they're so smart, because they're able to pivot so quickly, like they can actually apply that for good.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
and
that.
iterate and pivot quickly on like their own self-awareness as well. And like self-correct quickly.
Yeah. You know what? As you're saying that, I am having a flash of a person who is ADHD and is now learning how to do that. Cool. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like slowing down when it's appropriate and needed, which is obviously an essential, necessary skill that every single person who's a high performer, especially those who have ADHD, need to learn. It is like you have to slow it down. It is absolutely essential to slow down your thinking so that it can serve you. And then also, it's absolutely such a gift to be able to like double down and hone in on the speed and the like. You know, a friend of mine who is starting to collaborate with me at Groundwork, describes herself as neurodivergent. And one of the things that we talk about in the survival pattern when we're tracking the survival pattern is this quality of overthinking or over-strategizing can sometimes be quite detrimental, kind of pulling up into your head and like speedy, going like problem-solving mode. And she said to me one day, she pulled me aside in a retreat a couple weeks ago, and she was like, you know, for neurodivergent people, it's not a curse. It's actually a blessing.
Tell me more.
Well, she said that overthinking and over-strategizing for someone who's neurodivergent is actually like a necessary thing to do. Like if they don't do that.
They need to like thaw it out.
Yeah, they need to like, it's part of their process.
Yeah.
And what I said to her was, yes, I totally get that because as someone who has ADHD, I can relate to that. But I also think that we know when the patterning or those behaviors that we rely on so heavily are serving us. And we also know when they're not serving us. And so I think the best leaders have a capacity to kind of go into the nuance of their experience and slow it down enough to go like, okay, where is this coming from in me? What am I being driven from here? Is this clarity-based? Is this ease-based? Is this joy-based? Is this life-giving? Life-serving, Or is this like survival, myopic, tension-based? Am I resisting something in my experience? Am I trying to avoid feeling something? Like, what is actually going on inside of me?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why really working with where you're established internally when you're performing and when you're having difficult conversations or conflict is like, the key.
Oh my God.
Everything else is a tactic or a strategy.
Yeah. What you're saying, it almost makes me think, in relationships, I was very anxious, right? But then it was so fascinating. When I was really learning more about my patterns around money, I was very avoidant.
Interesting.
Yes.
I can see of course that makes sense that we flip-flop in different areas of life, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And then, but like that was, okay, how do I deal with this part, right?
Yeah.
Cool. What's coming up for me right now? Why am I not wanting to reply to my accountant? What is going on here? Why do I not want to open this? Whatever.
Right.
But then everything else was just strategy.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Like I should sit down and force myself through this thing or whatever, or read the book or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so many strategies and tactics out there. And I think that's also why we're so mentally exhausted, is we're just trying to overcome our pain with another tip, another tool,
instead
another
of just
TikTok
going
video.
in.
Yeah, we do everything to avoid pain. It's wild. It's so wild what we do.
Yeah.
And I don't blame us. It's not a pleasant experience. It's a very challenging experience. And the people I admire the most, I admire them because they have a resilience and a strength to return and face their pain over and over and over again. Those are the people I admire the most.
I think they're also the people who get to live the freest.
Totally.
They get to live the biggest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're really experiencing life. Like,
yes.
fullness. The fullness.
Back to where we started this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, we were having a conversation on the phone a few days ago, and you were talking about openness. And it was such a great moment for me because I feel like there's areas in my life where I have not felt open in quite some time.
Yeah.
But then I was pushing. And I was like, so I started doing the inquiry, right? I was like, what would it feel like to be open?
Right.
And I just bawled my eyes out.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, I didn't even know that was in there. So like for the audience, can you describe what it means to, let's just use life. Let's say to be open to creativity or whatever's going to come in your way. Like, what does it mean to be open?
Yeah. For me, when we say that word, I think about like resistance and non-resistance. I found it's the cleanest way of talking about things in terms of like searching for that kind of like what you're saying, open, or am I being loving in this conversation? Am I being clear in this email? Am I being open in this area of life? To me, the question would be like, what are you resisting that's in the way of that natural state? Because those states for me are very natural to the human experience.
So true.
Right? Like it's not something you have to like, I mean, of course, we're always iterating and like we're learning deeper layers of love and we're learning how to be more open. But I think a lot of it is what is the barrier to it. So a lot of my work is about removing the existing barriers by working with the two frameworks that I coach and teach. And so when I'm working with the barriers, to me, the barrier is like, what are you resisting in the experience? And that resistance-based state, again, is a survival-based state. It's myopic, it's tension-based. It's not clear. It's usually foggy. It's usually pulled up into the head. And again, we usually try to solve it with more action, more strategies, more tactics. So if I were to coach someone to be more open, I mean, again, it's going to sound like a broken record, but I'd be looking at like, how are you trying to survive this situation? And then what is the pain that's activated underneath it? And being able to sit with that pain and actually witness it. And the beautiful thing about pain, and I think I told you, like I teach a mindfulness technique that I developed that actually gets people to drop directly into the experience of the pain that they're having. And it's a 5-minute technique. It's like dead simple, right? It's so funny. Like it's all it needs. All pain actually wants
space.
Is space to be witnessed, to be felt, to be experienced. Because again, if the original formation of pain had been experienced, it wouldn't have gotten caught.
Yeah.
So actually all it needs to get uncaught, quote unquote, is to be felt.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's actually what you're describing when you bawled your eyes out. It's
exactly.
Just, you were
I just
literally
allowed
sitting
it to
with
be.
it. You were allowing it to be.
Yeah.
The irony is crazy, right?
It's so beautiful because it's like, a couple years ago, I would have never asked myself those questions. 2, I would have never trusted myself to hold myself through the witnessing.
Yes.
Through the experiencing.
Yes. So actually we should say something about that because that's important, which is for many of us, especially depending on the level of like the quality of the pain that you experience, especially at a young age, is very important to have a safe container to do that in, especially if you don't feel like equipped enough to do that yourself, which is a very normal thing because again, we all spend our entire lives avoiding it.
Yeah.
So of course it feels like the biggest, scariest thing ever, right? And part of what I love why I love talking about it on podcasts and stuff like that is because I really want to normalize the conversation around pain. And I mean, I don't know about you, but like my upbringing in Punjabi household was like, the drama around pain is insane.
No pain, no gain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. No pain, no gain. And also like the guilt trips and the like blame and the victimhood. And it was all so dramatic and intensified. And pain was so like intense, right? And so of course we want to avoid it. And especially if you had difficulty in your childhood and upbringing, it's natural that your system would want to protect you from feeling it.
Yeah.
So that's why it is absolutely essential that if you don't feel comfortable doing it, you find someone who's a professional who's experienced at doing that practice to actually be there with you in that. And then once what I found through the process that we teach, once you do it a couple times with someone, then it's just a matter of practice.
Yeah.
Then you just got to do the hard thing.
You just got to feel it.
You got to feel it. You got to sit down. You got to just do it. And ideally you do it in the moment where you see it happening because that's obviously the quickest way to access it. And the results are incredible. Like if I can speak really briefly to the results so that people are motivated to actually take this on because we're not just saying just sit with the pain and like that's it. That's not it.
You transform from the inside out.
From the
inside out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is not... Then after that, if you apply a strategy or tactic, then it's like bonus. But you're not trying to get something to feel better on the inside. But what I've found is that when you sit with pain, it actually, what it does is it basically slowly over time just loses its grip over you.
Yeah.
It begins to dissolve because again, there's nothing to avoid anymore. You're willing to go directly to it.
You feel capable.
You feel capable of it. Exactly. And so the strength that you gain from that and the self-confidence you gain from that is like unlike anything you'll ever experience. Like it's such an incredible muscle to build. But also what happens is now the reason it's so effective to do it, especially for the leaders that I coach, is because now all of a sudden the old behaviors and tendencies that we have to survive feeling our pain start to fall away because there's no need to protect you anymore.
Exactly.
It's wild. It's like a science.
Beautiful. It's so cool.
It's so fun.
Yeah. It's who you attract changes. The way you speak changes. The way you move. The way you think. The way you dress. Your experience in your body. Like everything changes because you're not caught. I love the way you say that. Like you're just not caught anymore. Yeah. Right? And the thing is like you're gonna get caught and nicked throughout life. All the time. It's inevitable. Right? So it's like, why not learn how to work with it? Exactly. Like be your own facilitator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fun thing too is like one of the major ones that people come to me for is like, I'm a high performer, blah, blah, blah. I've done so well, blah, blah, blah. I cannot stop procrastinating.
Yeah. Why?
Right? Like a small tactic, like it's not a small tactical thing, but it's like a very like concrete, like I procrastinate. I don't know what to do about this. I've tried the Pomodoro technique. I've done the whatever, right? Like I've tried all the techniques.
The Pomodoro does not work for me. I got the bullet journal.
Yeah. I'm following the calendar. I'm doing the blah, blah, blah. And then it's like they drop into their pain. And they can see that the procrastination is really just trying to protect them from something they're resisting in their experience.
And this is what I found with the money experience, right?
Right.
The avoiding was trying to protect me from all of this. Like I grew up my mom did everything that she could. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I grew up feeling like I couldn't buy a Timbit.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so it's just like, now I can buy all the Timbits I want.
Yeah.
But like there were times where I still felt that. And I'm just like, okay, well, maybe I just need to allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's interesting too about what you're saying is that sometimes the correlation between the pain and the behavior is not as direct. Like in that case, that's very direct. But man, what happens when people start to unlock their like this kind of resistant experience around avoiding pain, all kinds of random things start to shift. Life becomes easier. Joy becomes more accessible. Relationships are easier to manage. Yeah, it's and so then no wonder in my world, of course, that impacts productivity. Because like, you're just, there's so much less that you're resisting in your experience. And now all of a sudden, when you have a vision about something you want to execute on, like I say X, now nothing's in the way of X.
And you know what's really cool when it comes from a productivity stance too, is you just don't say yes to everything anymore either.
Totally. That's a big one for people.
Yeah. Like I feel like the less in survival I've become, the more willing I am to say, no, I don't want to do that. Or that's actually not for me. That doesn't light up my soul. And I just like the things that I go after, I know to go after. Because there's clear indication that like, this is good.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's a deeper feeling that you experience. A lot of people will come to me like, I've done the decision matrix. Like, so I'm like, okay,
what's
great.
The decision matrix?
It's decision matrix is like, there's many modalities of the decision, different ways to make decisions, but it's very like a corporate, very like linear, like, okay, is this, something that matters? Also does it fit this category and does it fit that category? And so you're trying to make like an intellectual decision about where you put your energy and focus on what values. Again, great modalities. Love them. They're so amazing. So many of them are like deeply powerful. And also when people come to me with that stuff, especially the male executives, I'm just like, let's just drop into your pain. I feel like we'll know after.
And this is, okay, Kevin O'Leary, he'll be like, 96% of my companies that I own are owned and operated by women. And he's like, when I started investing in women led companies, he's like, I realized that they're just intuitive. They know how to multitask. And but the thing is, like, that is a woman's natural gift. Give her a home, should give her a house, she'll make it a home. And so it's like so interesting because I remember my guys when we were making our doc, the conversations we'd have as we're tearing down set. I'm just like, have you never thought about these things before?
Yeah.
But it was so cool to create a space for them where they are finally thinking about, why am I the way I am?
That's pretty amazing. That's so amazing. That's so cool. Yeah. I mean, I think maybe because we're so relational, right? But you know what's interesting? So in the survival studies around how people survive, so there's fight, flight, freeze, which are the three kind of common ones that everybody knows about. Yeah, and then fawn and what's fawn and flee? Fawn and flee, right. Yeah, I don't know much about flee. Yeah, fight, flight, freeze.
Is it flee?
I don't know much about flee, but I work with fight, flight, freeze, and then fawn.
Fawn, yes.
The original studies, of course, were done on men. That's how they found the first three, fight, flight, fight, freeze. And then they studied women and found fawn, which is the abdicating our own needs to meet the needs of others, people-pleasing, in other words. But what's so fascinating about all the male leaders I work with, especially those who are in high executive responsibility positions, like CEOs, COOs, all have a really strong fawn response.
Interesting.
I know. So that's why I like to like really think about the pattern as like a universal thing. Like however you identify, whether it's like masculine in a male body or masculine in a female body or female in a masculine body, whatever dominant gender roles you identify most with, to me, the survival pattern itself is totally universal.
This is what's so interesting about it. It's just like, I just had a total nerd moment where I'm like, I just can't wait to learn more.
Love it. So good. I love those moments.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go down that lane right now because I don't need to reveal how nerdy I am.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Darn. Okay, fine.
Oh, God. Okay, well, I'm very curious for you to share. Like, what's something that is lighting you up in life right now?
Well, I think I don't know if it's, okay, maybe this is, I mean, it is lighting me up. Sorry, that was like a real, like, you can see my brain working there.
Like, Summan, I didn't know you were going to ask me that.
Also because it's like lighting me up and also it's also challenging. Maybe that's why I kind of stumbled a bit on my words. But, right now, my main goal with what I'm doing, because of the 15 years of feedback I've gotten and how, again, like that's really the only reason I can just keep going is because people were like, this is life-changing. Please, can you teach it to my kids?
Yeah.
Please, can you teach it to my husband or my wife? Like, can you teach it to my team?
Yeah.
So right now it's very reliant on me. I mean, I've trained coaches so we're working on certification program to make sure that like people are really in integrity with the frameworks when they're coaching it and doing that properly. I've just finished writing the book and working on publishing that. And, I'm getting introductions to people in positions of power that could really bring this work into places like into the university curriculum, for example, which has been a lifelong dream of mine, or developing a curriculum for addiction recovery or those kinds of things. So we're developing right now even to a neurodivergence curriculum. The basis of what I teach, the framework will always be the same.
Mm.
What will change is the context with which how
it's shared
address
and applied.
and share and apply it.
Yeah.
But the framework and the principles will always remain intact. It's the same. It's universal.
Mm-hmm.
So what's exciting me and what's also challenging me maybe in the same breath is, as a person who cares deeply about helping others, like how do I scale what I'm doing and how do I do it as quickly as possible in a world that is only going to get more hyperactive, and in a world where protecting our peace to come up with the ingenuity required to solve world issues right now and really have more people equipped with the resilience required to step into leadership roles to solve for very big problems is like very top of mind for me. So kind of bird's eye view, going out and going, okay, how do I and again, not doing it from the pattern, not doing it because I'm pushing or I'm fighting my way through something, but more because I see the true
need.
Opportunity and need of the moment.
Yeah.
And so it's an exciting time in that way for me. And I'm figuring that out as I go.
I love that. You know what? I think that intersection of the challenge and the joy is one of my favorite places to be.
Cool, right?
Yeah.
The zone.
It's the zone.
It's the zone.
It's like, I want to bite into the apple and I just want to like enjoy this.
Totally.
Well, where can people find you online?
Groundwork.xyz is the website. I'm still working on getting good at social media, but on Instagram at groundwork.xyz and on LinkedIn, Amrita Ahuja. And we train teams. We coach our program one-on-one. We have an online course. We teach the retreat circuit. We do workshops in the cities in LA, Vancouver, and New York. And then soon the book.
That's when we'll have you back on.
Thank you. That would be amazing.
Yes.
That would be so great.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for inviting me and for having this conversation. It was very profound for me.
Aww.
Yeah, you're an amazing person to have a conversation with.
Aw, I love that. You too, man.
Thanks.
Aw, okay.